you've ever felt like coffee is the on switch for your brain and you can't start your day without it, I've felt the same way for many years. But recently I was inspired to test a small tweak to avoid crashing in the afternoon, and it hasn't been as terrible as expected. For the past 30 days, I've tried shifting my morning caffeine intake for a couple of hours after waking rather than having it first thing. So here's what's been working for me instead. I start the morning with a full glass of water and I add a pinch of salt and a squeeze of lemon to this. And this simple wake up signal for hydration is actually more helpful for waking up than coffee is. And then the other thing that I have first thing is a green supplement. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I just find that it's important for making sure, even if I've had a day where I didn't get enough fruits and veggies, I'm kind of covering those bases and checking that box off. And it just seems to work for me. So I don't think there's anything fancy about going with a green supplement versus just getting enough fruits and vegetables in, or also a high quality multivitamin. But it's something that I like to do, and it does kind of help me to get more water in first thing, and I like the taste of it. And then the other strategy that I've been applying is move first, coffee second. I'll work for about an hour first thing in the morning sometimes, or even just get to the gym sooner than that. And then once I'm at the gym, I find that I don't need the coffee right away because of the bright lights and the loud music and all the action going on in the gym. It just helps me to get awake without feeling like I need that coffee flowing through me. And the reason this has been important for me to try is because I find it takes so much more time and momentum to get going in the morning if I'm depending on coffee first. And then that's not working as well for me to focus once the workday begins. At least at this point in my life, hitting the gym is not a problem. Making progress in the gym is not a main goal other than just kind of maintaining physical health really at this point. So I really want to focus better on the mental tasks throughout the day, and anything that I can do to get an edge on that is really why I'm trying to readjust this morning routine and how caffeine plays a role so that it's working better for me and not working against me. If you need some reassurance that your morning's not going to come crashing down by avoiding caffeine first thing, which is definitely how I felt leading into this, while reading The Expectation Effect, I came across the point that caffeine works better or worse based on whether we expect it to work for us or not. What this means is that there's nothing at all that magical about coffee for waking us up. We just convince ourselves that we need it. And like many adults who are hooked on caffeine, I believed this for years, and it was one of the reasons why I avoided trying to cut out or reduce caffeine or coffee intake throughout the day. You know, most of us that do kind of fall into that routine, we're so hooked on it that we're reaching for that caffeine before our eyes are even fully open in the morning. Now, caffeine is a great performance booster, but it can be saved for when it's more useful for focused work or performance. Maybe if training or anything that you're doing for a sport or just in the gym is an important part of what you want to make progress on, but you don't necessarily need it right after waking. I really didn't think that it would work out so well, but even after just a day or two, I was already functioning completely fine for the first few hours of the day without relying on caffeine. Something that helped with this whole process was trying Korrect's supplements for smoother energy without crashing throughout the day. And so as a way to reduce caffeine intake without having the effects be disastrous, I tested out a couple of these nootropic products that Korrect makes. That's a capsule form called Korrect Energy, as well as the little packets, kind of like the Elements or other sort of single serving doses, which is Korrect Edge. And they're basically two very similarly formulated products that rely on paraxanthine rather than caffeine for that energy effect without causing any crashes. What this did was help me to reduce caffeine intake, but also allow me to go those first few hours in the morning without worrying about feeling the effects of a dreaded caffeine withdrawal headache, which hits me really hard even after a few hours in the morning without having any caffeine. And like I said, it didn't take very long before this effect completely wore off and I was able to get through the start of the day. But either taking these Korrect energy capsules or sipping on Edge early in the day was enough to kind of get me going, but also I liked that I could take it after lunch and it wouldn't affect my sleep because it doesn't have the same sort of jittery or anxiety heightened effects that metabolizing caffeine does. Paraxanthine skips that process. So what is in these products from Korrect? And they're stated as being designed to support dopamine, which plays an important role in motivation and sustained focus. And what's interesting about these supplements from Korrect is that they use paraxanthine, which is a metabolite of caffeine, to support more stable energy without needing a massive caffeine spike. So there's paraxanthine in addition to a couple of the other ingredients that help with sustained focus without feeling the jittery effects. And one of the main reasons is that paraxanthine clears out of our system faster than caffeine does. So it doesn't have as many of those downstream effects like the energy debt that is built up from depending on caffeine later in the day or with subsequent days. So it works better if you feel anxious or jittery on coffee or other high caffeine sources. It's also better if you want focus for flow states instead of just feeling really awake and alert. I expected initially a sort of similar energizing effect to caffeine. And while it does keep you more alert and focused, you don't really feel the whole blast that you get with a high caffeine product, but you definitely feel the results with that extra focus and also helping, like I said, to block off that caffeine headache and withdrawal effects while giving you the energy to get through, an afternoon deep work session or the second half of the day if you find that you typically crash midway through the day. So I really like using it as that midday pick-me-up. The nice thing is that it doesn't leave me feeling like I've overdone it on caffeine or depended too much on caffeine to get through the day. It allows me to get a great afternoon workout or work session and focus much better than trying to fight through brain fog and tiredness. And for this reason, I use it more intentionally than just taking it every single day. I find that it's something that can work really well as an additional boost on those days that you need it. And I've also found it really helpful for before coffee in the morning, especially if you're in that phase of trying to cut out the first thing in the morning caffeine, but you're not quite ready to completely let go of the hold that it has on you. Is cutting out caffeine in the morning a helpful thing to do? And I've found that it's been a well worth making the change for the way that I focus in the morning and reducing the crash that I'm experiencing later on in the day. And it really doesn't have any issue for me as far as waking up and getting going. If I did have to get up super early to, drive to the airport or something like that, which doesn't happen all that often, I might still have coffee first thing as I'm trying to stay alert while driving. But if I'm just getting up and heading straight to the gym, I don't think it's necessary anymore in order to get to the gym and get a good workout in and then start having more caffeine once I'm ready to actually work for the day. And as far as these Korrect supplements go, I'm thankful that they sent me some of these products to test out because When you're trying to do your best work, you don't always need more caffeine. Sometimes you just need that steady focus without jitters, a racing heart, or an anxious edge. And after a couple weeks of using this, it saved me from that dreaded caffeine headache that I get when I cut out coffee, and it's provided me with great focus and flow at work. If you do want to try these products from Korrect, they are offering 20% off your first order. So if you want to cut back on caffeine while still having the focus to get work done, or if you can't tolerate the effects of caffeine but need a boost, Korrect has what you're looking for. And I'll include the link in the description to have that 20% discount auto apply to your order. If you try the coffee later shift this week, let me know how it goes, or have you tried it before? Leave a comment below and let me know what your experience was like.